Good morning, Griffin, Indiana fans. It is early summer, and our canola, as you can see, is ready to harvest. Our early corn has emerged from its slumber, so everything is peachy keen so far, except the looming threat of rain this afternoon. There's rain in the forecast this afternoon. We've got to get 3 fields harvested, and then we're going to be able to plant corn in them for a bumper crop, hopefully a mega crop of corn this autumn, which will be the final harvest on the map. I said at the plans we were going to go 4 years. We are now 3 weeks out of Farming Simulator Double Deuce. So at the start of every season, we are going to be 1 week closer. We have 3 seasons to go: summer, autumn, and winter. So the excitement is definitely brewing. News has been coming hot and heavy out of Giants about Farm Sim 22 so far. I can tell you, I am really excited. Every week, there's even more information coming out that really piques my interest. Even more. I mean, the news about bees, that was honestly not expected. Sure, we had the character customization, we had the bee outfit, right? So we knew bees were doing something. I mean, why would you have a bee outfit? You might as well just have a clown outfit, right? And then with the production we saw, honey was needed at the cereal factory. Okay, well, bee outfit, sorry, plus honey. Okay, you know, wheels start turning. Bees must have something to do. And then the relevation. Wrong word. The big reveal that you need that there's a placeable honey trigger that you put down, and then the beehives will produce honey to that trigger. That, I think, quite frankly, is possibly the most interesting information about bees. And in the way I see it, the potential. We have now the split between production and output. Up till now, everything has been production and output in one building, in one placeable, one confined area. But now, with the ability with bees, you have the capability of placing your beehives in one general area, and some flexibility as to where you place the output trigger, spawn point, whatever you want to call it. Now, it can't be all the way across the map, I'm sure. It has to be within some relative proximity to the hives in order to pick up and detect the hives. But this really, really expands the customization and capabilities that I could see modders. I could see Giants later also doing other things with this. You know, how many times have you tried to place or wanted to place a building on your farm, but you just couldn't quite get the orientation right because of the fact that, you know, one of the triggers would have been up against another building, or it wouldn't have been accessible because of a tree line or something. But placeable triggers that can basically register themselves to the corresponding placeable opens up all kinds of possibilities. So imagine if this was applied to an animal area. You could place a cow pasture, and then you could place maybe the animal delivery trigger wherever you wanted. All right, let's say we have drawable fences now. So let's think about this. We could draw a fence, or we could place down an animal nav mesh for cows. Then we could draw a fence around that nav mesh, and we could put in gates wherever we wanted. And then we could put the animal delivery trigger. It's build your own area. Put your animal trigger over there by a gate. Maybe someone has modeled a cattle chute. You could put your animal trigger there. You could have a water trigger that you could put in the middle of your nav mesh if you wanted to. You could have a placeable food ring, bale ring, that you could place wherever you wanted. Just absolute and utter freedom. Customization. Tweaking. All because our lovely bees, that you may or may not be that excited about, but all because our lovely bees have the division now of the pallet spawn point and the beehive. That shows that you can have them separate, have them correspond and register themselves, if you will, to each other. I'm sure at some range, you place the pallet trigger down, and the script looks some radius around it and detects the beehives. So you could do the same thing, possibly conjecture. I'm not a scripter. I just come up with ideas. Conjecture, you could use the same concept to place a food trigger, a water trigger, a delivery trigger, milk trigger. And when you place it, it looks the radius and looks for an animal nav mesh. Maybe. And if it finds it, then it registers to it. That is what I think makes bees so interesting and monumental to FS22. It's not that you can have a beehive. It's not that they pollinate. That is cool. It's not that they pollinate certain crops like canola, sunflowers, and potatoes, which, you know, when I think about it, those are the flowering crops, aren't they? You know, canola has a yellow flower. Potatoes has a white flower. I mean, what about cotton? Cotton has a flower, doesn't it? I don't know. I've never seen cotton growing, but in game, it looks like it has like a white flower, doesn't it? So the flowering crops, we could have tulips as a crop. That'd be interesting. A Netherlands map that has, you know, fields upon fields of tulips. Grapes. I don't know why don't we have bees pollinate grapes? Right? Wouldn't they pollinate grapes too? I don't know. But at any rate, that idea is cool. But I think the biggest thing that I think, hopefully modders will pick up on is this division of the production placeable and the production spawn point. They're split. You place them separate, they register to each other, and they work together. So why couldn't you expand that to other things? I mean, if you think about it, animals, and I've said this before, And we've seen this with the Urshaba stuff and some of the Farmer Mayhew stuff and some other production things that have come to console in FS19 that basically levers the animal mechanic to do production. Animals are just are factory. They take inputs, food, the animal, water, possibly straw. They take inputs, and they make outputs. Manure, slurry, milk, wool, eggs. So, animals have been basically production in FS since FS11, which I believe is when cows were first introduced. I believe they were the first animal introduced. I assume they produced things. They didn't just exist in FS11. So it was only, you know, kind of it took someone to make that connection in their head. I could use the animal script and basically make an animal area that produces sunflower oil. I input sunflowers, it outputs sunflower oil. I input chickens and wheat, it outputs eggs and chickens with respect to reproduction. So the placeable pallet spawn point for bees is next level. It's going to take in my opinion, it's going to take production mods. It's going to take animal pasture mods, which are an extension of production, and quite possibly just extend it in FS22. I want to hear your comments. What do you think? So we are getting some really good yields off of our canola. Well, I think we're maybe halfway through our first harvest, or sorry, our first field, and we've already unloaded, or this is our first trailer. So it looks like we might be getting like 60,000 liters out of our big field, which is pretty darn nice, to say the least. Everything seems to be doing good. Let's go over here and just check. Yep, canola's going in. Said it before, but I'll say it again. I am super looking forward to trying out the bins in FS22. I really like doing these individual bins. This is how I grew up. We had we had 5 grain bins on the farm. Some were various, they were different sizes, and they were all obviously individual grain bins that you had to fill with an auger, and you had to empty with an auger. Now, we filled and emptied with the same auger. We didn't have this fancy belt thing. We had a screw auger that had a hopper. It's PTO driven. You set it all up. You back the truck up to the hopper, and then you unload it, empty it out, and go up to the field. We had one truck, basically. So when the truck was unloading, the harvester was stopped for the most part, because it took far longer to unload the truck than it did to fill the harvester. And then when it came time to eventually sell the grain, you set the same auger back up under the output pipe and put on the PTO and started that and let gravity drain it for a period of time until, of course, gravity didn't drain any more, and then it was clearing out the sweep. That meant jumping in the grain bin, Nowadays, there's all kinds of warning stickers about don't climb in a grain bin with grain because, well, you could find a pocket where the grain was kind of crusted over, but it's not really underneath it, and you fall through, right? You can suffocate because you can get buried in grain and then not be able to get out, get disoriented and not know which way is up and try to claw your way down, but really you need to be clawing your way the other direction. Yeah, you think about growing up on a farm and it's like, oh my god, it's a shock we didn't die. How everything is portrayed as being so deadly and dangerous nowadays. But you know what? We paid the frick attention. We were careful. That's how you not die. You pay the frick attention. You don't have headphones on, listen to music while you're inside of a grain bin. That is all of your attention. Because we have to clear the sweep. And once the sweep is clear, you turn it on, and once it starts to then draw grain into the middle, you can get back out, right? And that's how it works until you get down to the floor and you get most of it out. And then you're cleaning out the floor. But you know what? You've got this sweep running around the floor. You have to pay attention to, because I mean it's a big screw auger that's rolling around the floor. You have to know where it is at all times, and step over it when it gets to you. As you shovel grain into the center to clean the thing out. But that's just what you did growing up. Pay attention. That's the biggest lesson, I think, for this generation. The younger generation now is they just have so many distractions. The idea of not having music constantly blowing in their ears is kind of foreign to them. Oh, look at that. Pioneer seed. Sunflower seed is on sale. That is interesting. Never seen that before. 15% off sunflower seed. Well, I can see why, right? The planting season for sunflowers is over. If you buy that seed, you're going to hold it for a year. But you want to save a little money on sunflower seed, you can do that. That's pretty cool. Let me go ahead and finish this field out, and I'll catch you up on how many liters of canola we got off of our big field, field 1 here. And we'll head down to the next field, which is just below the farm hill. Then we'll head over to field 8, get that harvested up. And then we need to, we need to pick out a planter. We need to plant corn, and we need a corn planter that allows direct planting. And there aren't too many of those, because we don't really have the time. We really don't have the time to... There it is, buddy. There it is. Easy riser. We use this planter other corn. So we will lease it. There we go. Because we just don't have the time to work the ground with a cultivator and then come through with a planter and plant the corn, because we got to get it all done today. If it's not planted today, it's not going to get planted. Clear and simple, because we're not going to plant soybeans, because soybeans won't be profitable until next summer. And next summer, we're going to be on Farm Sim 22. So we end up getting just over 60,000 liters of canola off of field 1. I think I had about 2,000 and some liters over that when I brought the harvester down to here. And now this harvester is full, so I'm gonna come down here and empty this one. So we're sitting at 90,000 liters of canola. Well, not 90,000. We haven't filled this one yet. So we're sitting at 70,000 liters of canola at this point because that harvester is full and holds over 10,000 liters. We've got 60,000 already up there, so we are doing pretty darn good. So far, so good. Off to our third and final canola field. And quite honestly, I think I got excited early in the video talking about bees. I forgot something. Forgot something important. This video is brought to you by Doughboy2913. Thank you for being a farm baron. So we got nearly 30,000 liters off of that small field. So we should get over 30,000 liters on our last field. Field 8 here because it is, I believe, bigger. But you can see our corn here on field 7 is looking mighty nice. The keen eye among you may notice our money has dropped fairly significantly. That is because I've went ahead and bought the corn header I need. We've also bought seed, corn seed, and fertilizer for our planting later today. Staying hooked up. Get our dive on in here to our third field. 11:30. We got rain in the forecast still. Let's take a look. For 6 p.m. Rain all day tomorrow for midsummer. But then decent weather for late summer and then into autumn. As I kind of predicted, we have another 30,000 liters, so we're up to 90,000 liters of canola. Really hoping we can get another 30 off of field 8. That'll get us 120,000 liters of canola. Really good yield. Maxing out our yield on everything. Everything is looking fabulous. It is 12:45. So I think I'll grab a little bite to eat as this trailer is unloading. And we're looking really good to get this field harvested well before the rain. And quite frankly, if everything works out, we'll be done planting our corn before the rain comes today also. And harvest is done. 12:34. 2 times clock speed. Just a hair under 30,000 liters. So it would be just a shade under 120,000 for our canola harvest. Not bad at all. Looks like we're going to be bringing in a pretty good penny come winter time with canola. Now comes the fun part. Getting these fields flipped with corn before the rain. Before the rain comes in. So I've left the harvester down there in the yard of the old farmhouse. We'll come pick that up a little bit later. Getting it up here to the farm is not that big of critical problem, or critical, not that impactful, I should say. Biggest thing is getting this thing offloaded, and then we'll run down the shop, grab our planter, get it loaded up with corn and fertilizer, and I'll meet you back field 8 again. Things are going swimmingly well. I have to say this Case 3215 planter is absolutely exceptional. The ability to no-till corn, which quite frankly I think is something that we do a lot of here in the States, but pretty much none of the base game planters we've had to date really allow it. So kind of annoying. If you ask me, at least with this mod, we can get that taken care of. And hit the wrong button and messed up my guidance steering. I'll have to come back and fix that. But boy, we are dropping the fertilizer though down. I didn't know how much we would have to get, so I got two pallets of fertilizer. I guess I should say 2 big bags of fertilizer. Well, yeah, this is going to be our day. We just plant the rest of the corn. I don't know if we really need to do talk too much about that. Beyond what we were able to get off the canola. And our main goal is to get this corn in the ground so that we have as best chance as possible at getting it in probably mid-autumn, maybe late autumn. I don't know if our early corn will come a day sooner than this late corn that we're getting in the ground. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow, so I'm suspecting tomorrow's going to be kind of a washout of farming. Now, seasons won't restrict me from doing it, although really you wouldn't be spraying herbicide in the rain. But I think that's all tomorrow's going to really entail, or should I say our video for Wednesday is going to be rain, or sorry, spraying herbicide. We've got the field fertilized, we've got it planted. Really the only thing left to do is herbicide. And if we do that in mid-summer or late summer, either way we got to get it done. But yeah, I'm going to be trying to figure out what we're going to do for Wednesday's video on midsummer. We won't be able to do any grass work. Grass really doesn't seem like it's done any growing whatsoever. So like I said, it seems like on a year that you get 2 cuts. The grass, maybe with this geo for whatever reason, seems like it gets stunted the following year because we got multiple cuts year 1. We had an issue with grass year 2. We had multiple cuts year 3. And now year 4, we've got this grass growth issue again. So it seems like the geo only really likes 1 cut of grass a year, which I really hope is something that we get in FS22's seasonal cycles, is multiple grass cuts a year. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but I know what it's like here in the States. And in the States, you can get 3 sometimes 4 cuttings of hay a year. Now your fourth cutting is, or your third cutting if you get that, and if you get a fourth cutting, it's less than your first cutting for sure, but it's possible. Very rarely have I been able to achieve anything other than at most 2 cuttings with a seasonal geo. Maybe if you're super lucky, you can get 3 2/3 growth cuttings, but that's probably really pushing it, and it shouldn't be pushing it. It should be pretty easy to get 3, in my opinion, with an American geo. Should be pretty easy to get 3 cuttings of hay during a year. But we just don't seem to be able to get that. So I just hope with FS22 we can get multiple cuttings a bit more realistically than what we have seen in FS17 geos and FS19 geos. So then I think I'm going to call it here. I want to thank you all for coming out and watching yet another video here on Griffin, Indiana. Obviously, changes and announcements for FS22 have somewhat negated our 3-day seasons playthrough here. We started this quite a long time ago. Well, 3 months ago, I guess, or more than 3 months ago. We started this series with the pretense of basically a practicing 3-day seasons. Could we do it? How well does it work? Are we going to risk losing crop? 4 years later, we haven't lost a single crop. So I think it works out pretty good. But we won't have to worry about that anymore because now we can have up to 28-day months. 336-day year. Far different than a 12-day year. So until next time, happy farming.